I never thought I'd be the guy sitting here, writing out a story about how my wife, Lisa, turned out to be such a liar and cheat. We'd been married for 8 years, and honestly, I thought we had a solid relationship. She was the kind of woman who always had an answer, always knew how to spin a story to make herself look good, especially when things started to go south. Looking back, I guess I missed a lot of the red flags, or maybe I just didn't want to see them. It all started around 6 months ago when Lisa began acting a little differently. She was more distant, secretive even. She'd be on her phone a lot more, always with that guilty look on her face when I'd try to ask what she was doing. I figured she was just stressed with work, or maybe she was upset about something else I hadn't caught on to yet. She'd brush me off, tell me I was imagining things, that I was paranoid. But I felt that something was wrong. Then came the little things. The missed calls, the late nights she'd claim she was working late or at some book club. I started catching her sneaking around, hiding her phone when I was in the room, and once I even saw her hurriedly deleting texts. Still, I kept telling myself it was probably nothing, just my imagination running wild. I was scared to face the truth. But what really broke the dam was the barbecue we had with some friends in the backyard. It was supposed to be a fun, chill weekend. I was grilling burgers, trying to keep everything light. Lisa was there, acting a little more edgy than usual, but I chalked it up to her just being in a bad mood. Then I saw her slip out of the group and head toward the garden shed. I didn't think much of it at first. Maybe she was grabbing something from the storage or trying to get a moment of peace away from the noise. But then I saw her enter the shed, and she shut the door behind her. That's when things got weird. I was still outside, flipping the burgers, but I kept glancing over at the shed. I heard muffled sounds, a bit of laughing, something that didn't seem right. Before I could process what was going on, I saw her come out, looking flushed and hurried. She brushed past me, pretending like nothing had happened, and I was left standing there with a strange feeling in my gut. My first instinct was that she was hiding something, but I didn't want to believe my own eyes. The next day, I noticed a few odd things. Her phone kept buzzing nonstop with new messages, and she was acting even more dismissive of me. I decided to peek at her phone when she was in the shower. That was the moment I found out the truth: texts, photos, even a few explicit messages. It was her and some guy named Jake, and from what I could see, they'd been sneaking around for a while. The photos were enough to make me feel sick. I confronted her that night. I told her I knew about her little affair, about Jake, and about everything I'd seen. Her reaction: she looked me dead in the eyes and lied through her teeth. Said I was paranoid, that I was imagining things, that Jake was just a friend helping her with her trust exercises. Yeah, trust exercises. That's what she called it. She insisted it was part of therapy, that it was some kind of game she was playing to test her boundaries and my trust. She claimed I was overreacting, that I was jealous and insecure. I could see the smirk on her face, like she was enjoying this power she had over me, knowing I was completely blindsided. Inside, I was a mess. My stomach was churning, my mind racing with questions. How could she lie so easily? How long had she been cheating on me? Was I just some fool who'd been played all this time? I felt betrayed, humiliated, angry. I mean really angry, not just at her but at myself for not seeing it sooner. I wanted to believe she was innocent, that maybe I was just paranoid, but those damn photos didn't lie. She was caught red-handed, or so I thought at the time. I didn't sleep that night. My head kept replaying everything: her sneaking out, the secret calls, those photos. The betrayal cut deep. I kept asking myself if I should confront her again or just walk away. I was torn between heartbreak and fury. The worst part: she was still acting like she was the victim, like I was the one causing the problem. And here I am, trying to figure out what the hell I should do next. After that night, everything changed. I couldn't look at Lisa the same way, not after discovering she'd been lying to my face for who knows how long. I felt like I'd been punched in the gut, but what made it worse was her attitude afterward. Instead of showing remorse or even a shred of guilt, she doubled down on her lies. She'd call me paranoid, accuse me of not trusting her, and then turn around and get defensive when I pressed her about Jake. I knew I had to do something, but I wasn't sure what. Part of me wanted to blow up, confront her in front of everyone, tell her she was done and walk out. But I also knew that wouldn't solve anything right then. I needed to think to figure out my next move. Still, my mind kept circling back to that shed, to her sneaking away, to the sneaky texts. It was like a constant ache in my chest, a gnawing feeling that I'd never really known her, never really known the woman I married. I started paying close attention to her every move, trying to catch her in another lie. I noticed how she'd avoid certain topics, suddenly have to work late, or disappear into the bedroom for hours. It was almost like she was hiding something more than just Jake. I found myself obsessively scrolling through her phone whenever I got a chance, looking for more clues, more proof that I'd been right. And I found it, more messages, more pictures, and some strange new numbers she'd been texting at odd hours. It was obvious she was still hiding something. One afternoon, I decided I needed to get to the bottom of this, no matter what. I waited until she was out running errands, then I snuck into her phone again. I figured I'd find some more evidence, maybe catch her in a lie. What I saw was mind-blowing, an entire string of messages with Jake talking about secret meetings, trust exercises, and some kind of rendezvous. That's when I realized this wasn't just a fling, this was something more planned, more calculated. I felt the rage bubbling up again, but I also felt sick. I had been played, used, and betrayed on a level I never expected. The next day, I decided I couldn't keep pretending everything was normal. I sat her down, told her I knew everything, and demanded she come clean. Her response? She snapped at me, called me paranoid again, and said I was overreacting. She tried to brush me off, claiming the whole thing was a misunderstanding, that Jake was just a friend, and that she was in therapy to fix her trust issues. Yeah, right. I didn't buy it for a second. She looked me straight in the eyes and lied again and again, trying to convince me that I was imagining things, that this was all in my head. That moment hit me hard. The woman I loved, the woman I married, was actively lying to my face. It wasn't just an affair, it was her trying to gaslight me, make me doubt my own eyes and instincts. I felt a mix of heartbreak, rage, and helplessness. I wanted to shake her, make her see how much she'd hurt me, but I couldn't find the words. So I just sat there, feeling the weight of her deception sinking in. I knew then that I had a choice, either stay and fight for the marriage or walk away. But deep inside, I already knew what I was leaning toward. The trust was gone, shattered beyond repair. Over the next few days, everything felt like a blur. I was walking around in a fog, trying to process what I'd learned, what it meant for us. Lisa kept denying everything, calling me crazy, and insisting that Jake was just some therapist's husband, not a lover. She threw around words like trust exercises and misunderstandings, trying to convince me it was all a big mistake, a weird experimental phase she was going through. But I could see through her bullshit now. Her eyes didn't lie, they were guilty as hell. She was lying, and I knew it. I started noticing little things, her phone constantly buzzing, her shifting her schedule, her avoiding certain rooms in the house. I even caught her slipping her phone into her purse when I walked into the room, like she was hiding something. My suspicion grew into certainty. I didn't want to be naive anymore. I needed hard proof, something undeniable that would finally make her face the truth. One night I decided to set a trap. I left my phone intentionally out on the table, plugged in, and then I went to bed early, pretending to sleep. A few hours later, I saw her sneak out of the bedroom, grab her purse, and tiptoe toward the garage. I stayed perfectly still, pretending to be asleep. I watched as she quietly opened the garage door, slipped into her car, and drove off. I didn't follow her that night. I knew where she was headed. I already had enough evidence to confirm my worst fears. The next morning, I woke up to find her still gone. Her car was in the driveway, but her purse was missing. I knew she'd gone to meet Jake again. That's when I decided I'd had enough. If she was willing to cheat behind my back, I needed to confront her head-on, not just with words but with proof. I grabbed her phone from her purse, knowing that if I checked her messages, I'd find everything I needed. There was no way she'd lie her way out of this one. Sure enough, I found more messages, more explicit than the last batch. They were planning their next trust exercise in the garden shed, which now made perfect sense. The way she'd looked so flushed and nervous, the quickness with which she'd left the barbecue, she'd been hiding all this from me the entire time. I stared at the screen, feeling the hot, sickening knot tighten in my stomach. I was betrayed, humiliated, and furious all at once. How could I have been so blind? I thought I knew her, thought we were solid. Turns out, she'd been hiding this mess right under my nose. That night, I finally confronted her face to face. I told her I knew everything, the texts, the meetings, her lies. Her reaction was a mix of anger and defiance. She called me paranoid again, said I was jealous, insecure, and that I was ruining everything with my trust issues. She had the nerve to say she still loved me, that this was all just a mistake, that she didn't mean for it to go this far. But I could see the truth behind her words. She didn't regret anything. She was proud of her lies, proud of sneaking away and cheating on me. That realization hit me harder than anything else. I felt my whole world crashing down. I remember sitting on the couch, staring at her, feeling the cold dread of the betrayal sink in. I thought about all the years we spent together, all the plans we made, and how easily she threw it all away for some guy's dick in a garden shed. That's when I knew I couldn't stay. I told her I was done. I deserved better than this kind of betrayal. I needed to walk away, to start healing from this mess. But even as I said it, I felt the ache of loss of trust, of respect, of what I thought was forever. The days that followed were a blur of emotion and chaos. I moved out of the house, not because I wanted to, but because I knew I couldn't stay under the same roof with her anymore. The betrayal had cut too deep, and every corner of that place reminded me of what she'd done. I rented a small apartment nearby, just enough space to breathe and think. I didn't tell many people, just a few close friends, because honestly I didn't want the pity or the judgment. I just wanted to process what had happened. Living alone was a strange experience. For years I'd been used to sharing everything with Lisa, my life, my hopes, my plans. Suddenly I was alone, and I felt every part of that loneliness deep in my bones. I couldn't sleep at first without her there. My mind kept replaying all the moments, the sneaking out, her lies, the texts. And every time I thought I'd moved past it, something would trigger the pain again. I'd see a couple walking hand in hand, or hear a song we used to listen to, and the grief hit me all over again. I was angry, hurt, and totally lost. But even in this mess, I knew I needed to figure out what I wanted. I couldn't stay angry forever. At least, I told myself that. I started going to therapy, partly to understand my own feelings, but also to help me get through the worst of it. My therapist said something that stuck with me. You're mourning the loss of trust and the person you thought she was. That's normal. But it's also an opportunity to rebuild, either within yourself or in your life, if you choose to do so. One thing I realized quickly, I was going to forgive her. Not now, not ever. That kind of betrayal leaves scars that don't just fade away. I couldn't look at her the same way anymore. Every time I thought about her sneaking off in the middle of the night or lying to my face, it made my stomach turn. I'd been so blind, so trusting, I thought I was safe with her, but she proved me wrong. She proved that she was capable of betraying everything we had. At the same time, I knew I had a decision to make. Stay and try to salvage what's left, or walk away and start fresh. Honestly, I felt more like walking away. I couldn't see a way back from this, not after seeing what she was capable of. It wasn't just about the affair either. It was about the lies, the gaslighting, the way she had zero respect for what we'd built. I knew deep down that I deserved someone who wouldn't treat me like an afterthought, someone who wouldn't lie to my face while sneaking around behind my back. So I made that decision. I started packing my things, planning my departure. I told her I was done, that I was going to leave for good. Her reaction: she threw a fit, called me names, said I was overreacting, that I was ruining everything. But I didn't care. I knew I had to put myself first now. I couldn't keep living in the wreckage of a relationship built on lies. I needed to reclaim my life, my sense of self, and move on. Looking back, I realize how much this experience has changed me. I'm stronger than I thought I was, even if I feel broken right now. I've learned that trust is fragile, and that sometimes the person you love the most can turn out to be the biggest betrayal of all. But I also know I can survive this. I will heal eventually. And I'll find happiness again. Maybe not with her, but somewhere out there, with someone who respects me and doesn't lie to my face. The process of moving on has been a roller coaster. I won't pretend I'm through the worst of it. There are days when I feel like I'm back at square one, drowning in anger and sadness. But overall, I'm trying to rebuild myself piece by piece. I've started going out more, reconnecting with friends I'd neglected, and focusing on work and my hobbies. It's not easy, and honestly, some days I still wake up feeling a hollow ache that won't go away. But I tell myself every day that I deserve better, that I don't have to live under her shadow forever. The hardest part is accepting that I might never fully trust again. Not her, not anyone. I've been burned so badly that I'm cautious now, even skeptical. But I also realize that trusting again doesn't mean being naive. It means being smarter, more aware of what's real and what's not. I've learned to listen to my gut more, to pay attention to the little things, and to never ignore red flags. I understand now how easy it is to be fooled, even when you think you're the smartest person in the room. Every so often, I catch myself wondering if I made the right choice. Did I do the right thing by leaving, or should I have fought harder, tried to save the marriage? But then I remember her lies, her manipulations, and that garden shed. How she thought she could get away with cheating and lying, thinking I'd never find out. Honestly, I don't regret walking away. The trust is gone, and with it, the love I once had. I can't be with someone who doesn't respect me enough to be honest. That's not love, that's betrayal. Now I focus on myself. I'm taking care of my mental health, working out, and trying to rebuild my confidence. I've started dating again, cautiously. I know I'm not ready for anything serious right now, but it feels good to be around new people, to remember what genuine connection feels like without the shadow of betrayal hanging over me. I want to trust again someday, but not blindly. I want to find someone who respects me, who's honest and upfront. But that's a long road, and I know I need time. Looking back, I see how naive I was. I thought I knew Lisa, her quirks, her habits, her dreams. I never imagined she'd cheat on me, especially not with some guy in a garden shed during a barbecue. That moment changed everything, shattered the illusion I had of our marriage. But I also see that I was too trusting, too eager to believe her lies. Now I see the importance of honesty and boundaries. I won't let anyone treat me like that again. Most of all, I've learned to prioritize myself, to stop blaming myself for her choices, to realize that I was only trying to be the best husband I could be, and that's enough. No one deserves to be lied to and used like that. I know I'll get through this, even if it takes time. It's just hard to accept that the woman I loved could turn out to be so different from the person she pretended to be. But I'm hopeful that someday I'll find someone who truly values me, who doesn't need to cheat or lie to feel powerful. That's what I deserve, and I owe it to myself to find it. Now, sitting here reflecting on everything, I realize how much this experience has shaped me, whether I wanted it to or not. I used to think love was about trust and loyalty, but now I see it's also about boundaries and respect. Lisa's betrayal didn't just break my heart, it forced me to reevaluate what I value in myself and in others. I'm not the same person I was before, but I'm stronger in ways I didn't expect. I won't pretend I've fully moved past the anger or the hurt. Some days are harder than others and the scars run deep. But I've learned to accept that I can't change her, only myself. I've learned that I don't have control over her choices, only my reactions. I've also learned that sometimes, the only way to survive a betrayal this deep is to cut the ties, walk away, and rebuild from the ground up. If there's any advice I can give to anyone going through something similar, it's this: trust your instincts. Don't ignore the red flags, no matter how much you want to believe in the best in someone. And most importantly, remember that your worth isn't defined by someone else's actions. You're not at fault for what she did. No matter how much love you've given or how many years you've shared, you deserve honesty and loyalty. I've come to understand that healing isn't linear. It's a messy, unpredictable process. Some days I feel like I'm out of the woods, and other days I'm reminded of the pain. But I keep reminding myself that I'm better off without the lies, without the betrayal. I'll move forward one step at a time, knowing I've learned lessons that will serve me well in the future. The greatest thing I've gained from all this is clarity. Clarity about who I am and what I want. No more blurred lines, no more excuses. Just a commitment to myself, to find happiness, trust again, and never settle for less than I deserve. That's what this has all been about. Losing someone I loved so deeply made me realize I needed to be stronger, more aware, and more true to myself. Because at the end of the day, the only person I truly owe honesty to is myself.